Good morning, guys. Happy Monday. Max was loving my shirt a little bit before we launched, so we were a few minutes late. Sorry about the side camera. I did move things around this weekend, so I've got to get set back up for the front facing. I just didn't connect it because I was lazy. So not that you guys care, but it does give you guys a really nice view of this shirt. I do have matching shorts. They are the identical pattern. So yeah, it's quite the look.
Come to Magic for TA tips, not your fashion tips.
Being colorblind, that's probably a safe bet. Like, I don't even know if this hat matches, to be honest with you. So it doesn't matter, though. We rock with confidence here. We don't care. And
We're
that's
not a
all
fashion
that matters.
show.
Huh?
We're not a fashion show.
Yeah. If they're concerned about you matching all the time, then that's not the right person for you. Those types of people are very superficial. You don't want to be around those people. Like Max, don't want to be around that guy. He's very concerned about matching. Look at the white shirt and the white hat and his really pale skin that matches that as well. He's got great hair, though. We'll give him that. So yeah, I don't have not much to go over, really. We're pretty boring over the weekend, but we'll talk about some key levels today on Bitcoin. We'll let Max do his order flow thing, of course. And then we might take a look at like the DXY and the SPX really quick. And then I do want to talk a little bit about XRP, but I kind of want to do that in its own video because, I'm going to probably spend 10 minutes on it. So look for that. I'm going to try to get that done today. So a nice 10-minute XRP update. Everyone in the group should already know these things about it because we've covered it so many times in members' lives, but might as well do it for the public as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we'll kick off the analysis. And Jimmy Bitcoin, good morning to you. Aye, sir. All right. So we were just talking about this move here coming off the low of the range. Front run a key level actually for us. It was I believe it was a daily level right here. 29,882. But if you were watching, you did have the range low right here. So just from your breakout point here on over, you can see your range low is there. So, one thing that you should note is it's not a place to be looking for shorts, right? We're not looking for shorts in that area. We are looking for reasons to potentially get long. My inflection points, which I've been giving, are down in this region, basically telling me that if I'm looking for a new position, I really kind of want to wait and see if I can't get a high time frame tap of these levels. However, if these levels are lost, well, Bitcoin's got problems, probably coming all the way down to the local gold pocket and this horizontal level at 27,210.50. And then realistically for me, I'd actually start looking down towards like 26,142 on down to like 25,590-ish, give or take. So that's, worst case scenario. So it is in Bitcoin's best interest to push here. One thing I posted as the thumbnail was right here. You can clearly see that if you just take this, like weekly settle up right here and then down to this local SFP here, right? You can see exactly where I got these levels. And we'll actually do this real quick. This weekly low, boom. Really, really nice. Okay, so getting above this level and living above it on like a weekly closing basis would be ideal. And this begins to look like consolidation underneath resistance, and a break back above does put us back into some very interesting targets, specifically for me coming in at the value area high up here around 39,800 would be where I'm targeting if we were to break above this box right here. Now, you do have to worry about 32 and 33K just above us. Obviously, that's still resistance. But, if this zone gets flipped to support, I'm looking for that move to approximately, we'll call it $40,000. And I do still hold my longs from 16.6. I've been very vocal about that I'm not closing those positions, primarily because Bybit will let me keep the positions open since I'm not KYC'd. So I can't do anything with them other than let them run and let them hit their predetermined take profits or get stopped out. So I'm going to let that position do what it's going to do. And, we'll worry about getting that money off of there later. But that's where I'm at on it, in terms of looking for day trades or long-term trades. if you start breaking down from this level here, right around, we'll call it 29.5 to 28.9, that like little zone that we just had marked right here, okay? You start losing that zone and you are going to probably run into some issues. Main issue being that if we look at, I believe it was the quarterly, it was, what is it, quarter two pivot. I need to organize this. This is usually my, do whatever I want in terms of like charting. So I don't organize everything the way that I should. Nonetheless, it was 24/7, and that comes in about right here. I believe, is it here? There we go, 24,700. That was your weekly breaker for many months, and you've come back and you've back tested it perfectly. So if you start breaking back down to this region, this starts to look like a double top. And have we seen something like this before? We certainly have, where you came up to the 10,500 level over and over again, and basically then came back and filled in the range, right? So you really don't want to see us doing something like that, where we come up to this resistance and we tap it, right? Confirm resistance, come back, lose this area of the chart, and you're no longer consolidating under resistance. You're really looking at this as probably distributing back into the range, and we're looking for secondary opportunities at that time. But for right now, while you're living above 29,000, $29,000, give or take, we'll just say right in the middle of that 28.9 and 29.5. I think the quarter one high is 29. What was it? 29,182. That area, this little box. As long as you're above this, Bitcoin can certainly try to push and make a new high. The question is, will it? Nobody really has that answer, but ball is in the bull's court until it isn't. So I'm just looking to take good trades. Next areas of interest for me are the quarter three open at 30,460.50, and that's also your current weekly pivot. So statistical target that it's going to be hit. Also living inside the range and above the local point of control. Be looking for this area to be tested here soon at 30,460. And as Max pointed out last night using OI, if we break above that monthly open, we did have a previous week open up here at 30,619.50. Certainly something you want on your chart, but I'd really be looking forward to the gold pocket up here closer to the range value area high as my next area that I want to be considering a trade personally. Just looking to trade only the value area highs and value area lows right now. And so I'm looking to trade here, or I'm looking to trade beneath the previous week low for myself personally. Get into these averages. So that's all I've got. Keep it very simple on the low time frames. High time frames, super easy, guys. Got to start getting weekly closures above this level and then holding it as support. You could just call it 30,500 or 30,404, whatever you need to do. Need to be putting pressure onto this resistance if we want to see that push to 39,800. That is your 6-month NPOC as well. For anyone that's wondering where that comes from, it's 38,922 is the level that I've been talking about since last year, that if we were to break through that area, you have to have it marked. And if you do, you'll be plenty prepared to potentially take profits there. And you could still be looking up even into the 45 or 46 to 48 range at that point. So that would be the NPOC right there. So I'm going to turn it over to Max. Otherwise, I'll keep talking. But I did pretty good. 8 minutes, 9 minutes is pretty short for me. So one thing I'll ask is, there are 14 of you in here. So 15 now. If you guys haven't already, hit the like button. We appreciate it because we do come to you guys live every Monday morning to cover the markets in depth.
Okay, so for me, trading today, I've taken one trade. It was the short from here, posted it in the group earlier, missed all this price action throughout the night. So for me, wasn't really anything there. And then I was busy when this occurred. So for me, one trade was a short, could take that down to the weekly open. I was just stopped out on it, but hit the TP and then stopped out. So it is what it is, we move on. But as Magic says, this is not the place to be looking for like bigger shorts. So, scalp it was. And right now, looking at the open interest for this mini little uptrend, let's call it, we can go from here to where we are. Open interest is pretty strong. We've not had any big significant open interest drops. So what does that mean? Well, it means that, there's a lot of trapped shorts on the other end of this, trend. Obviously, that can change if you start to put, price goes underneath them. Then you've got the flip side of there's a lot of trapped longs. But right now, there's a lot of trapped shorts where we are. So we can look up to areas such as the Q3 open and magic. I didn't realize that, that gold pocket that we've got there, the 0.5 is actually on the weekly untapped level. So yeah, more reason to potentially take that short. So you've got many reasons for this to continue up. You've got trap shorts locally, which could push you to this region where you've got some local highs at the Q3 open. If you get above that, you've got a lot of resistance at the weekly, and then obviously up to that gold pocket. But to be honest, Bitcoin is it's not moving that much, so I've not really got too much to go over. You can go over the open interest, the delta that we are getting right now from the sweep again. Yes, you are getting some negative delta. You are getting a delta switch, but I think the way that we've had the open interest with this little uptrend that you've got, I just don't think it's going to just turn around without really getting one last squeeze out of these shorts, because it wants to, if we are going to drop down, it wants to wreck that side of the market before then coming back. It doesn't want to pay the shorts. So, go tap that liquidity, get more position changing hands as we had when we swept the previous high, was it last week on Thursday? When you swept that high, had position changing hands. It wants to do something like that again, potentially. We've got enough trap shorts now that if it was to occur, you know what to look for. But yeah, Bitcoin really, really slow, so not got too much to go over, but got some shit coins for you people. And we know you love shit coins. Waves. This has been doing absolute bits. It's been insane. This came up on my radar using the altcoin strategy that I use, which is in our group. You can literally go and learn that straight away from the free trial that we've got going on for 7 days. You can go read open interest, learn about open interest, and learn how I'm finding and trading altcoins. But yeah, this one is moving very quickly. So what we can do now is, look at the trend. Is the open interest still strong with the trend? Yes, it is. Increasing open interest with the uptrend, strong uptrend. What we can do is then look for areas, significant lows where we can get in line with the trend using the SFP. So potentially one coming up here, but I do quite like if it came down and tapped this 61 here, just to make it much easier to not much easier, much better position than getting in up here. But this is not a bad position to get in, because if you look at it, you've still got a lot of liquidity to the upside here. And to be honest with you, you've had this here, so okay, that's pretty bearish. Did we come to the gold pocket? It actually looks like we may have done. Pull that actually. Oh, it did tap the gold pocket. Yeah, so now I know we've tapped the gold pocket after having this huge, not blow off top, but if you go on the hourly, it does look awful. Come and test the gold pocket. Maybe we would wait for these lower targets, actually, just noticing that. But this thing's been very bullish today, and I don't see why it wouldn't continue. It's just getting a pullback from the gold pocket. But yeah, definitely get waves on your charts. And I'm just going to set an alert for here, actually, because I quite like the fact that there's 146,000 wave down there. But yeah, waves moving crazy. And then another one is MTL. So I gave this area last night when we were live. So when we were live around about here. And I was looking for this area to come down and get tapped. Let's go to the 5 minute. Why? Because it's in line with my my altcoin strategy. Overall, it's been very bullish. Open interest has been very bullish. You can just look for SFPs to get in line with the trend. And it came down to the area, SFP'd it, and then gave you that. I would call this like a safety test. When you've had an SFP and then it comes up and then comes back and tests the level that was lost and regained. It's just like when you have an SFP, then something like that occurs. It's just really good. But yeah, really bullish again. So definitely looking to get into positions on this. I've already got an alert set here for if it came down and tapped this 52K. You've got many lows that are yet to be taken. So I would be cautious just YOLOing in. You're about to tap some really big liquidity. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't enter long here and just cross my fingers. I'd wait for it to give you some pullback, because a pullback would literally everyone that's gone long in this area, as soon as they saw a pullback start to occur and it came to these areas where it started to lose lows, they'll get out thinking, oh shit, it's going back down. I don't want this trend to end. But as long as you don't release all the shorts that have trapped, in reality, you're just having a little pullback, scaring out the weak hands, and then you can get into a trade in line with the trend. So yeah, definitely look for the lows to get taken. So for me, I just use the swing points and liquidity finder. You've got 41,000 MLT there and 50,000 there. For me, they'd be the easiest areas to get into an SFP trade. But ultimately, it ideally would be this one now, to be honest with you. So that would be the better one. Why? Because you would take out all of the stop losses, and then that'd be the sweetest one if it was to come down here. If it didn't come down there, I probably wouldn't trade this area again. This area where this green box is, I wouldn't trade that again. In fact, I'd be looking for it to come down and sweep these ones again, to be honest with you. But while it's still so strong and not really had a any reason to really call it a day, you've not had a big drop in open interest. You are getting volume spikes, but it just seems to be the buying that is just continuing to push the price up. So while that's the case, there's no point fighting the trend. Definitely don't try and knife catch this, or what would you call it when it's the flip side, Magic? You're muted.
When you're buying the top?
Yeah. When you're trying to short.
That's FOMOing, dude. that's
when you're trying to short the top.
When you're trying to short the top. Oh, yeah. So when you're trying to short the top, I mean, you're really just trying to call tops and bottoms. Okay. That's all you're trying to do. And you're doing it prematurely. You're not waiting for the market to confirm, either direction, give you any real reason to enter the trade other than I think I'm correct, so therefore I'm going to trade. But some people make a living doing that. They just got to be correct a lot,
But yeah, all I've got is MTL and waves. Nothing else really jumping out at me in my little section. Carver's moving now, but yeah, not a big fan of Carver. But yeah, easy.
I'm gonna hop over to the DXY actually. We've talked about the DXY a few times over the past month. Basically, we've been talking about the idea that you've gotten a rejection up here from the weekly and monthly levels, right? So these were your two levels at 104.63.7 and 105.42. Realistically, this was a zone that if tested, you wanted to see it back test this 2016-17 high. And to put things in perspective again, for those that might be new to the channel, this blue box has been completely key historically for this asset at basically 103.65 and 103.82. We can go back many times and we can see right here, once you broke below this, you've broken back into this overall range right here that I've got up for our local price action, which you can see is very well respected. Let's do this guy right here. Highs and lows basically being called off of these high time frame levels. And then what do you have right here in this region? This is a back test of this potential range. Now, this looks a lot like a top. And if we break back below 102.21 definitively here, like on a monthly or 3-month scale, I'd be looking for this to retrace down to 96.5. And you can see this blue zone yet again, to the left, where why we needed to see this area hold as support if you were going to be bullish on the dollar. The chart was giving you everything you needed to know. Historically, this has been the zone. Below this level, you're probably going to, have a cycle where the dollar loses some of its value against that other basket of currencies. And it certainly appears as though that's going to be the case here. Does that mean it's the end of the dollar? A lot of people like to say the dollar's dead, blah, blah, blah. No, I mean, this is just part of the natural cycle of money. You can see many times that the dollar has come down even lower than this, only to regain dominance. So it's a cyclical thing. And it's, like any other chart, it trades very, very well. Now, if we dive into the low time frames, you can see we came back to the 2016 and 17 highs. We tried to put in a bounce, lower high into what looks like a higher low. However, when we talked about this, we've been talking about how this starts to really look like a high, lower high, lower high. And what did you do? You came down and you swept this local monthly low right here, made a local low that is now a flat bottom of support. What does that give you guys? It gives you a really nice descending triangle. So I would be looking at this, like if we lose 102.21 again, that 12-month level that again, if you look at on just a quarterly chart, because it's a very high time frame asset, that you need to hold on to this region of the chart. This has been historically the two major levels and trying to base on it right now even. So you do want to see this asset, if you're bullish on the dollar, if that's been your thesis that the dollar is going to rebound, this is the area to hold. However, if it loses this region of the chart again, you will be putting more pressure on that local low at 100.82, and you'd be living below the ever important 12M here at 102.21. And that would make me think that we're coming down to about the EQ of the range, the 50% marker, somewhere between 96.5 and 96.07 in terms of the asset. There's some people talking 98, which certainly could be a bounce zone, I'm sure. But for me, realistically, looking for this next area of consolidation down here before I'm really thinking that the dollar is going to put in a major rally again. And you can see that historically, this has been an area of interest. It's actually even nuked through it all the way back down to the low of the range before. So you do have to be careful, but it does appear to be that next support area if we break back into this, overall market structure range. So that would be good for assets, especially things like Bitcoin, because what would we expect Bitcoin to be doing if the dollar is breaking down to, historical price levels? We would expect Bitcoin to probably be doing the opposite and going to those higher valuation targets. This certainly doesn't have to trade that way, but, on paper, that's the idea at hand right now. So you are watching the dollar battle with some pretty important levels. And I just wanted to make sure that we covered that because we've covered it maybe 3 times. We've covered this idea that this would be, potentially a rejection point back in May. And if so, we'd be looking for this region of the chart again. And if this region of the chart is reached, we then have to consider, bounce, or does this roll over and come all the way down? And for the pattern, boys and girls, because I don't really pattern trade a lot, but I did get my start in pattern trading. So we may as well take a peek at what the measured move on this would be. Some people measure it differently. I'm going to use one of the most basic ways to do it. We're just going to measure from the low up to the high. And actually, let's use a different arrow. We'll go the opposite direction. So that way, there you go. And look at that. The measured move puts us right here at the 96 level. So that is all lining up well and good with our horizontals and our thesis for an overall market structure range and what we would be expecting regardless. So if the dollar is going to make that move down into this region, I would be cautious if you are holding dollars and not assets, because one would expect, risk on assets that are measured against the US dollar to increase in price if the dollar is coming down. So that's it. That's the end of the show. That's the DXY in a nutshell. I don't really think there's anything else to cover. I see some people in the group in our traditional markets section going over Tesla, things like that. And that's all well and good. Tesla has certainly done quite well for itself here. Front running the local gold pocket here just a little bit. This was a big area target for me. Main reason being is this is your B leg of the structure that we called out when it was coming down. So this was going to be a big area to take profits at. Doesn't mean you're trying to flip short. You're just looking at this as, again, a take profit with the gold pocket overhead. It would stand to make sense that this is potentially a local high for the asset. It could be, especially if it makes that secondary push and swing fails. So if I'm looking to long Tesla, it's probably not a good place to be long here. I am going to move this down just a little bit, see where we're at. Look at that. So if we went from the C to D leg, you actually have a perfect gold pocket. So the front run of the overall gold pocket does make a lot more sense now. And this would be an area that you could potentially put on some risk to maybe trade this back down into some important averages, something like the VWAP here. This is your anchored VWAP for the structure that we were trading. So you can see it starts at the X pivot and we just let it run. You can see you've come into it here, you break above it, go to the gold pocket. One would think you're probably trading back down to either close this small gap right here or maybe even close this gap and retouch of the anchored VWAP, that mean reversion trade. So keep it simple. That's all I've got. I'm going to wrap it up because I know Max has got friends coming over. That's why we launched a little bit early. We're always trying to appease the younger generation because, Max, he's always busy. Last thing is we always offer the 1 week free trial. Max touched on it earlier. Just go to leadingcrypto.io. It's also in the description of the video, and you can start your 1 week free. It does get you access to the entire academy and into the classroom. We hold our Sundays and Wednesdays classroom sessions where, one, we go over our trade ideas for the upcoming price action, but two, we probably spend 30-40 minutes answering questions from people about getting started in trading, or maybe they had a question about some of the material, really anything. Sometimes they just want to know more about us, which those are my least favorite questions, but people do ask them, so we do answer them. I don't have anything else to say other than I hope everybody has a fantastic Monday. Max, you got anything to add before I cut it off here?
Oh, you're actually going to let me speak.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
No,
Always a surprise.
I posted the link in the comments. Anyone can just click there and sign up and learn pretty much everything that we teach in the week. So get to it. And then you can come and ask questions to Magic about fashion.
Yeah. If you guys need help getting dressed, I'm going to open up a secondary business where I essentially help you guys not only decorate your homes, because it's not as much just to look this good. You need to feel this good when you're in your home too. So if you like orange and blue, I got you.
That's it. That's his style.
All right, guys, have a good